and welcome to another episode of the After 90 Talk. I'm your host, Ivan Garcia. I'm here with my nephew, Andres. Andrew, how you doing, my friend?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great.
Right on, man. So glad to be here with you again.
Yeah.
Another episode, and we want to get right into it, right?
Yeah.
This week, for the European show, we want to talk about the action over in England. There was FA Cup this weekend. Midweek we also had Premier League. We're gonna post the results of that. We didn't get a chance to go over or cover that round, match week for the English Premier League. But a lot of exciting football there to watch. So we'll at least minimum show you guys the results here. But some of the actions over this past week that we actually want to highlight, again in the FA Cup, a couple of shocking results, a couple of mostly teams in the Premier League advancing. But as it stands, there are a couple of teams from the Premier League that were eliminated, such as Newcastle and Manchester United. Some of the teams that were expected to go through, like Aston Villa, they beat Cardiff 2-0 at home. And then Crystal Palace also doing their job 3-1 over Millwall. I personally got a chance to watch the Manchester United versus Fulham game, an important match for us as Mexicans, right? The presence of Raul Jimenez for the Fulham team. He didn't start the match, but he came on as a late substitute in the match. He did have a goal in the penalty shootout. So making his presence felt. Also a starter for Fulham, the American
Anthony Robinson.
Anthony Robinson's a lot of participation from him on the left back. There was a couple of moves where he looked a little shady, but overall a good performance from him, from the American, and the Fulham team at Old Trafford. But still taking the win from them. Your thoughts on the match, nephew?
I mean, I didn't watch the game live, but I watched the highlights. I mean, dude, I think Man United were just they just fell. They fell. Watching it, I think they've had many chances in their own half, in the first half. But I mean, do you really believe in Xerxes and Hoyland and Garnacho to really finish at all? They're very young, talented forwards, but I mean, this whole Man United team is just keeps getting worse and worse. And we've talked about Man United in negative ways a lot of the time. But I mean, it just looked like Fulham were letting them have the chance, trying to look for any goals and anything inside their box, but they just couldn't finish, and they looked shaky, and especially going to the halftime 1-0 down to a Calvin Bassey header. I think that kind of lowered the Man United fan expectations to even make anything possible in this FA Cup. I mean,
both teams to me didn't play at their top level, right? So if you watch the match, they did. It wasn't a spectacular match, right? It wasn't the box to box duel that we usually are typically see in the Premier with English teams. But it was entertaining towards the end more than anything, right? With the addition of the extra time, and then I mean, for me, I'm always at the expecting Raul Jimenez to show a moment of brilliance and impact the match with a goal or an assist, or just some nice play. But anyway, Fulham did their job. Fulham did their job. They deserved the win because they looked more like they were there to advance to the next round.
They knew what they wanted to do at where did they play at? Old Trafford.
Old Trafford. Old Trafford, by the way, if you guys don't know, is a historic stadium there in England. It's in the city of Manchester. It's beautiful. It's really just the essence of what English team or English grounds should be English football pitch. It's a beautiful pitch. But yeah, so unfortunately for Manchester United, they did not do their job. They were eliminated in playoffs by this Fulham team, who is only 7th in the Premier League currently, and we expect more from Manchester United, but this is their reality. This is their reality. They're not a top team. They're you touched on Rasmus Højlund, who hasn't scored in many games. I think it's like 17 games that he hasn't scored. You can't expect him. It's really just shocking that they didn't go after a striker in the winter transfer. They let Marcus Rashford go. Granted, maybe Marcus Rashford wasn't their answer, but you still need to go after somebody that's scoring goals in the moment. Especially if you're a Manchester United team. Zirkzee's also a lot of pressure on the young man to
perform
and be the player that gets them points. Just hasn't happened. He was one of the players that missed the penalty.
Sadly, man.
To just kind of sentence the match or whatnot. But again, good for Fulham. Good for Raul Jimenez. They go on to and Anthony Robinson.
Anthony Robinson.
Anthony Robinson, the American, they'll go on to the next round of the FA Cup. And other good news for a Manchester team, Manchester City, they were able to take a victory against Plymouth Argyle, and they'll go on to the next round of the FA Cup. That's going to round the England matches for the weekend. We can't wait for another Premier League match week to cover, and we'll bring you guys that action. Over in Spain this weekend, a lot of important matches, a lot of some shocking results. The leaderboard also took some shape, as well as the relegation zone. A lot of movement down there as well. Andres, the more shocking result of the match week, as one of the teams the two teams that we highlight here a lot, Real Betis and Real Madrid. Real Betis winning. They took 3 points from Madrid. Kind of a hurt to Real Madrid's title hopes, but Real Madrid really only have themselves to blame in this one. With all their stars, they should be getting a victory over Real Betis. Real Betis is a team that's rebuilding, right? They've got a lot of changes. A lot of their historically important players in the last few years have left the club, and Real Madrid couldn't beat them. Did you get it? What are your thoughts? What are you thinking?
First, speaking of the rebuild, they had a huge rebuild. This window transfer, they got obviously the greatest player in the world, Anthony, in the team, and then obviously they got the I would say the best striker in MLS in recent time, Chucho Hernandez. Chucho Hernandez from Columbus. So obviously the addition of him and many other players that they got this winter transfer. But they looked pretty solid, and I think for me, the man of the match for me is Isco. And I said about it last time that I wish he would have played for Barcelona, and he cooked yesterday.
Showed his class.
He showed his class, and obviously scored a penalty to pretty much beat this Real Madrid side. Again, another game missing Jude Bellingham, which is a big presence in the midfield and in the game in general. He can win you a game, and he's just that great of a player. But obviously missing him in this competitive game to keep your title dream alive, it's just a disappointing result for Real Madrid. But in my opinion, Real Betis, I think they earned it. They earned the 3 points. They were pretty fierce. Obviously speaking of Americans, Johnny Cardoso actually got the winning, or not the winning goal, but the first goal of the game for Real Betis, obviously coming in last season from Internacional in Brazil. So a very important goal for the American. Obviously it's big to score it for Real Betis, but again to score against a huge rival.
He looked very good.
He looked very good.
I as a Mexican, I'm a little alarmed of his presence for the American national team, because if this kid can continuously show his class and be consistent here for Real Betis against the Spanish opposition clubs, he can. I would bet that he's gonna be moving on to a bigger club.
Oh yeah.
His
definitely.
class was on display, making great movement. He's a tremendous competitor. You can see it from his play. There's some skills that I saw of his during the match that just kind of almost dropped my jaw. He's got a huge presence. He's very tall. And you see him down defending as well as attacking. He did get a header goal, so he's kind of like the counter Edson Alvarez for the U.S. national team. And right now, from what I'm seeing, he's got huge potential. So. Definitely, great eye on Johnny Cardoso.
Yeah, I mean, he came from Brazil just less than a year ago, and then obviously to start in a European team like Real Betis in the midfield and keep that position for a pretty long time. That's to say something, to you. And again, obviously it's scary for obviously a Mexican who supports Mexico. It's scary to see American football keep growing and growing with talent all over the world. To end this topic, Betis deserve the 3 points, and what a game!
Definitely. Also, wanted to point out in my favor that the GOAT Anthony was able to play. He had originally received a red card during last week's match, and I talked about that during last week's European show, that I didn't see that as a red card. That I thought the ref had tried to balance out the match in some way by handing out a red card when it wasn't justified for Anthony. And then the Spanish Football Federation went back on that and retracted that red card. So 1 point Ivan, 0 points whatever that ref is.
But you want to talk about Anthony for a little while? I mean, dude, he's been pretty good. He's been surpassing that expectation for what was happening with Man United. And he looks like a very solid player on the wing, and he looks like he's just reviving himself and his career. He got actually called up to the Brazilian national team again, so good for him.
The move definitely suit him. It was definitely to his benefit. He was just wasting away at Manchester United, but Manchester United just not. They don't know their way right now. They're almost like dragging Anthony down with them. But he looks like a totally different player. His confidence is there. I'm sure the language barrier helps him a lot too. Playing in where you're more familiar to it's a Spanish if you're a Portuguese speaker. More Latin feel. But I agree. He looks like I wouldn't say completely different player, but.
The
confidence.
He looks a different player than what he was at United. He fully looks revamped. Again, if you're a Man United player and you believe that team, just thrive at that place. Anthony, just stay there, man, please.
Good for Anthony. He is a skilled player, and hopefully he can continue to grow. He's very young. He's 22. He still has a lot of play left in him. So I hope he finds some consistency at Betis. Else around in Madrid, in the city of Madrid, Atletico Madrid keeping their title hopes alive with a victory over Athletic Club of Bilbao.
Huge win.
Huge win, 1-0, a very scrappy game. It looked like it was going to go down to be a tie, but and I say this because Atletico Madrid almost seemed like they were kind of like not pressing to get the win initially, because it almost seemed like they're waiting for their midweek matchup. But I don't know. What did you think, nephew? I mean, obviously an important win regardless. It don't matter how you get them. They got 3 points. They're right behind Barcelona. They were actually the league leaders at the end of Saturday. Just as the match stood, with Barcelona pending a game. But what are your thoughts?
It's a tough win for Atleti. Obviously, it kind of helps them playing at home at the Metropolitano. But Athletic Club aren't an easy team. I mean, especially I think last week they won 7-1.
Right.
They ran riot against who was it? Leganes or something? Oh no, it was Cadiz, I believe. They ran riot on them. So obviously a team with huge form coming against Athletic Madrid. We've talked about him so much. Julian Alvarez getting the winning goal. So it keeps him in great form. He keeps just being the main man for Atletico Madrid. And like you said, it keeps Atletico's dreams, high up again. And Yeah, I mean, I said it since the beginning of the season when we weren't doing the podcast, but I've always had that idea that I think this season Atletico were going to really step up. They had a huge revamp in their team. Obviously, bringing Julian Alvarez, bringing Conor Gallagher, who's been pretty impressive as well.
Yeah.
He seems so good in this system that with Ancelotti. There was a part of the game where he did 2 tackles like in the span of like 15 seconds, and El Cholo was just going crazy in the sideline. So you know El Cholo is always gonna love a player like Conor Gallagher with that much energy, that player that wants to win the ball, you know, and he constantly wants to put pressure. So yeah, this whole team is revamped, and again they get a clean sheet. Like I've said, I think they have one of the best defenses in La Liga. So I mean, yeah. To put it plain and simple, 3 points, fought very hard, but they got it at the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely an earned win by Atletico Madrid. Playing at home, huge benefit to them. Made it easy, you know, having their fans there made it easier. Yeah, great, you know, huge. It's turning out to be huge business to bringing Julian Alvarez, the Argentine, a lot of leadership from him. You know, goals when they need them in important matches. Keeping them in the race. A lot of South American players. So you know, obviously, you know, we touch a lot about the Americas. So a lot of South American players in Atletico Madrid. So we want them to do good as well. A lot of Argentinians, Brazilians, Uruguayos. Yeah. So. Yeah, it's great for them. I think they've got like some Colombians and Venezuelans in there as well.
Yeah, probably. I wouldn't doubt it.
And then to round off, just kind of the action for the Spanish league, La Liga. Osasuna today tying against Valencia 3-3. Valencia losing a very important chance to climb out of or you know, just take a big leap out of the relegation zone. They were just 1 point behind the teams ahead of them in the fight to remain in the Spanish first division.
Yeah.
But they were not able to win away at Osasuna. They were able to just get 1 point. So while they're still in that fight, you know, they lost a good opportunity to get a good climb out of that relegation zone. And then the more important match of today, early in the morning out here in the West Coast, Barcelona 4, Real Sociedad 0. Kind of a heartbreak for Real Sociedad. Initially, they got an early red card with, you know, to me a very
harsh.
Thank you. Yes, great word. Harsh red card for the Real Sociedad defender. You know, I felt like there was, you know, maybe a yellow.
Yeah.
He was pretty far away from being on goal, and it almost seemed like he was going far right. So, but regardless, Barcelona, you know, it doesn't matter. You gotta use what you're handed, and they were handed that red card, and then from there they just kind of dominated Real Sociedad. Took a 4-0 lead. Great goals. Lamine Yamal, you know, is a beast. Consistently showing that. Nephew, what did you think of about this Barca game? I mean, they did their job. Took the lead.
To put this game in perspective, it's just domination, man. This is honestly one of the most that I've ever seen Barca dominate in a while. Because honestly, I never saw a chance where Real Sociedad were dangerous, except for the first, I think it was the 3rd minute of the match, really early minute. They had scored a goal, but it was called offsides. And then obviously with that red card, like we were saying, it was a bit harsh, but at the same time, I don't know why. I think the player was Aritz that got the red card. I don't know why he needs to make that tackle. I think he could have matched up and caught up to Dani Olmo.
Good point. Great
point.
Yeah.
I think he, as a defender, as an experienced defender as he is, I think he could have caught up to him. And even though I think Dani Olmo was still slowing down, but regardless, I think that red card helped Barcelona and it endangered Real Sociedad. But yeah, like I said, domination. I think we had almost 80% possession on the ball, which is fucking crazy, man. I have not seen that from this Barcelona team at all. You know, Barcelona is known as to be the team that has the most possession, that dominate. But this team, it hasn't really been like that. We more dominate on how many times we attack. You know. But yeah, I think this is the most that Barcelona have ever had the ball in general, and it was just domination, you know. And dude, an incredible run from Lamine for the setup for, I think it was Gerard Martin's goal. Shout out to him. He got his first ever goal as a professional footballer.
Awesome.
And we got 2 players actually. It was with him and Marc Casado. So both two players that got their first ever professional goal with Barcelona. But yeah, that run from Lamine was pretty crazy. But yeah, I mean, there's too much to talk about, but to put it plain and simple, just domination, Barcelona, and you love to see it, man.
Yeah. Real Sociedad, not one of the worst teams in La Liga, so kudos to Barcelona for just the being able to keep such large percentage of possession against them, and just the goals, they're beautiful goals as well. So I recommend you watching those highlights. One day we're gonna get the rights to be able to share these highlights here on this channel, but that's a work in progress, right? But so anyway, for following this match week games, pending one more game that takes place tomorrow, which that game is the Villarreal versus Espanyol, and that's going to take place at noon Pacific Standard Time if you're out here in the West Coast. But the league standings, as we show them, are currently Barcelona at number 1 with 57 points, Atletico Madrid them right behind them with 56, followed by Real Madrid with the loss staying at 54 points, and then Athletic Club with 48, though that rounds up the Champions League spots. And then for the Europa League, you've got number 5 Villarreal, followed by Betis. So Villarreal, they actually have a chance of gaining some ground into the Champions League spot with the victory tomorrow. So important for them to continue their good form. And then down at the end of the league, Valencia, as noted, with a tie today, they jumped to 24 points. So they're tied with number 17 Las Palmas. Again, Valencia losing that opportunity to climb out of the relegation zone. It would have been an important victory for them to see themselves out of that relegation zone. But they remain at 18, then followed by Alves at 19, and then Valladolid at 20, even though they did get a tie this weekend. Mm-hmm. So that'll round up the action this week in La Liga. And then just kind of looking into the future of match day 27 with La Liga, I guess the more important matches that we'll be looking at here is I'll continue to look at Valencia, maybe against Valladolid, Barcelona against Osasuna on Saturday, March 8th at 12 p.m. Pacific. Getafe in a Madrid derby against Atletico Madrid on Sunday, March 9th at 6 a.m. Followed by Real Madrid against Rayo Vallecano also on Sunday. Important match for those two clubs to remain in that title race. Mm-hmm. Nephew, what are your thoughts on next week? What do you think about Real Betis versus Las Palmas? What games are you gonna watch, man?
I think that Real Sociedad Sevilla game probably is the one that probably interests me on Sunday, but also Real Madrid Vallecano. Rayo Vallecano are a pretty tough team, especially at home. Obviously, they're playing at the Bernabeu on that Sunday, but they're still a pretty very, very good team. I think that Barcelona-Osasuna game catches my eye. Obviously, as a Barcelona fan,
right.
We're looking for that revenge, man. They gave us actually our first loss of the season with a pretty embarrassing loss, 4-2, and Budimir has actually been pretty on fire this season. So me and Barcelona are definitely looking forward to the Osasuna game, man. It'll be pretty interesting.
Awesome. All right, well that's gonna recap the action in La Liga this weekend. Elsewhere in Europe, as far as like Mexicans, AC Milan losing to Lazio over in the Serie A in the Italian league. Lazio just taking the 3 points with a late victory, a late penalty by the legendary Pedro, the Spanish player. AC Milan with Santi Jimenez starting the match, but unfortunately not able to do much. Also, starting for AC Milan was Christian Pulisic, the American. We definitely want to highlight that. Unfortunately, they lost, but it's just AC Milan's had a tough season.
Yeah, I think in general, we haven't really seen a good AC Milan since they won their league title a couple years ago, and I think ever since then it's just been going to a downward spiral. So it's not a good first start for Santi Jimenez, as in like the AC Milan team. But personally, I think he's been as a player, I think as how he has been as a player at AC Milan, I think he's been all right. But I think these losses and these performances have given him an edge to keep on pushing harder. For games.
Yeah, they definitely need to continue to push. I mean, they're currently sitting in the number 9 spot, and AC Milan needs to be in European competition with this level of players. You can't just they need to be in those competitions, mostly because of what they mean to you as a club, economic wise, right? They bring in a lot of dough. So AC Milan, they need to continue to push for these spots. Right now they're not even in the Europa League race, so they need to the point difference isn't very large there in that gap, so they can go on a run, but it needs to happen now. So that's again initially when we talked about Santiago Jimenez's move to AC Milan, while our hopes were high, we knew it was a risky move because AC Milan's not performing, and it was almost like a quick
quick move out
quick
of
move.
Feyenoord.
Exactly. Yeah. Not well thought out. Almost maybe because for him to grow as a player, he needs to be in these competitions that have him against other European clubs and the best in the continent. So alarming there. Elsewhere in the Serie A and elsewhere in Mexican news, Genoa 1-1 tie against Empoli. Genoa of Johan Vasquez, the Mexican center back. He actually was able to score a goal in this match. And so just, his good form continues. Genoa only in the 12th spot, but, he's had a great season. And, Serie A is a tough league. So
I mean, you got not just a goal, you got man of the match. So it's exciting, obviously, for not really too many Mexican center backs that are standing out, these past couple of years. But I think Johan has been one of the players that have really stand out, especially him and Cesar Montes as a center back duo. They always seem to be great. I love him so much, man. I followed him ever since he played for Pumas. Obviously not coming from the cantera, but coming from Monterrey to Pumas, and even being part of those teams that went to the final and pushed for Liga MX. It's good. It's good to see him perform at a team like not as a higher team, but a team that are constantly mid-table with Jonah. But there has been news that he's been looked at from bigger teams in Europe and also in the Premier League. So hopefully after this season he can find a move at a tougher league and a better team. So hopefully.
You guys know us. We can't stop talking about the Premier League. We won't shut up about that.
A little fact though, did you know that he's actually coached by Patrick Vieira?
Oh, I didn't know that.
So that's sick. That is pretty sick. That he's learning from a midfield maestro like him.
Patrick Vieira, historic French player, historic Arsenal player. Yeah. He's won everything with them, and it's great that he's learning from someone like him. Genoa also, by the way, a very historic club in Italy. Yeah. They've been top flight for a very long time. They're one of the historic clubs there in the Italian league, known as the Serie A. Elsewhere in Europe, for Mexicans, Feyenoord played yesterday on Saturday, March 1st, with against NEC, but I believe it's NEC Breda. But anyway, it's a 0-0 tie, and it's important to highlight that because Stefano Carrillo continued to have play time with them. He came off the bench for them. Again, just important for the 18-year-old Mexican to continue playing and continue getting action over there in Europe.
I mean, I didn't watch the game, but it's good for him to get a couple minutes, get that European experience, at such a young age. So, again, like I've always said, I hope he does well. I hope he finds his feet there,
Yeah, no, definitely. We're going to continue to bring you that action when, as he continues to develop, news about him, his goals, and, when to look out for him playing next in important matches. As it stands, they have an important match coming up midweek in the Champions League. So I think we'll use that as a good transition into the next topic over for the European game, which is the midweek action in the Champions League. You've got the round of 16 kicking off. This is going to involve the remaining teams. As you guys are aware, this new format had almost like a wild card format where there was teams fighting to get into the round of 16, and then there was some teams just kind of waiting there for them that done better initially in the general table, and they just got better positioning, which allowed them to sit and wait for teams in the round of 16. So that's gonna resume this Tuesday, March 4th, and the games are Club Brugge against Aston Villa. One of the Clásicos, the Madrileño, Real Madrid versus Atletico Madrid, also on Tuesday, and then followed by PSV versus Arsenal. All these games, by the way, are on Tuesday. PSV versus Arsenal in Eindhoven, a city there in the country of Netherlands. Dortmund against Dortmund is a German team. Borussia Dortmund versus Lille of France. On Tuesday as well. As mentioned, Feyenoord will see action this midweek in the Champions League when they host Inter Milan on Wednesday. And then the rest of the Wednesday games we'll see another German team, Bayer Leverkusen versus Bayern Munich. Yeah. So the two Bayerns there going head to head in the Champions League. Another one of the important matchups, Benfica versus Spanish League leaders Barcelona, and then PSG, the Paris Saint-Germain team versus Liverpool. Nephew, this is it's getting down to the nitty-gritty. Yeah. I'm sure you're just as excited as we all are for these upcoming matchups. I agree, it's going in strong, man. Real Madrid versus Atletico Madrid. Number 2 against number 3 in the Spanish league, 2 of the best teams in the world. Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you have 2 teams from the same league that play in the Champions League. Obviously, like you said, Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid, and then you have Bayern Munich versus Bayer Leverkusen. So two historic, I guess, sort of derbies you have in this competition. But yeah, I mean, we're finally getting to the sort of the best of the best teams. Again, another team that just surprised me is Bruges playing against Aston Villa. Bruges making it this far and playing against Aston Villa.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a pretty interesting game. You have an underdog team like Bruges, who pretty much surprised me beating Atalanta. So I mean, and then Aston Villa haven't really been the same team that they normally look like the past couple of months, and even last year as well. But that'll be an interesting matchup. Again, you have Marcus Rashford and Marco Asensio who are going to be there. Actually, are they going to be able to play there?
I believe so. Okay, yes,
yeah.
I believe so. Because of the new format, they're allowed to now continue to play for. They played for other clubs in the season. Yeah, it's just kind of we're going to have to get used to all these changes that they've done for the the formatting and then the rule changes that they've implemented for the new edition of the Champions League, but. The games, especially when they get down to these rounds, are still just as exciting. Definitely Club Brugge against Aston Villa. You don't sleep on these types of matches, right? Because Club Brugge, they've shown that they know what they're playing for, right? They're bought into the system that the manager has for them, and then Aston Villa, a lot of great players. They're constantly in high level matches in the Premier League. So again, don't sleep on this match. It could be one of those matches. For the ages, really. But yeah, I mean, Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, all the great players in Real Madrid, they'll come in with a lot of expectations on them, and then they could be upset by this Atletico Madrid, because they also have high quality players. They play with, the intensity that Cholos teams always play with. So yeah, people watch these matches, and give us your feedback too. Who do you think? Is the?
Do you want to do some predictions? Some early predictions?
I'm not very good at predictions. I just want to see some good matches. Okay. I mean, initially, if I was to pick, right off of this, I would pick Aston Villa over Bruges. Okay. I would pick Real Madrid over Atletico, Arsenal over PSV. I would put Borussia Dortmund over Lille, Inter over Feyenoord. I would pick Bayern Munich over Bayern Leverkusen, and Liverpool over PSG, and then Benfica over. I'm sorry to say Barcelona over Benfica. Crazy. Yeah. Benfica's again. Don't sleep on Benfica. They've got good players, right? They've got Angel Di Maria still there.
Yeah, after what happened last, last time they faced each other, you really can't say who can win. But yeah, I'm just hoping for another like thrill match like that. How many? There was like 9 goals in that one match, right? I think it was like 5-4 that ended.
Jeez.
So yeah, it's gonna be a game for the ages. So yeah, I'm just excited.
PSG versus Liverpool, again another potential. That's a potential final there. So a lot of great matchups. This is the way that it works in the Champions League. Still is a 2-game format. So if you're not familiar with that. That means that they're going to play one game at their own stadium and in their own city, and then they'll play another match, as an away opponent. So, you tally up the two results from those 2 games, right? So it's very exciting. And then, we're obviously looking forward to that action and then to bringing you the results of that competition over in Europe known as the Champions League, which is really just phenomenal competition every year. So that is going to wrap up the European show. I think it's been good. It's been we got to the chase, and as always we want to thank you guys for staying and watching and listening to our spiel here. So Andrew, with that, we want to make sure that they go to our socials.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
What else?
I mean, yeah, they'll be linked down in the description. We'll have the TikTok and Instagram ready for you guys there to post more content there besides just the episodes. But yeah, I mean, just thank you for watching. Thank you for just being able to listen to us talk about football. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, thanks again. Have a great night, and appreciate you guys giving us some time.